This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
We got here right around 7. Might have been a little bit earlier, but weather, and we flew into Little Rock and landed. We had a few options. None of them were very good. Flying from, they felt like we could have got to Tulsa at the time and then bust in and maybe got home around 5:30 or something, or waited out 2 to 4 hours. We tried to get some buses in Tulsa. They didn't have them. Come to find out, if we would have went there, we would have had to turn around and land back in Little Rock because the weather wouldn't allow us. But my biggest thing at that point was the plane was real quiet, so I knew our kids were sleeping on the plane. So that's really what I was most concerned about. We pushed back, yoga and things of that yesterday afternoon. But the staff, I pushed back an hour, and we ended up getting the same amount of time, same amount of work on A&M. We just took a shorter family break last night, and got the same amount of work on A&M. But it was. I think I got home around 7:15 or something like that.
In theory, frustrated Arkansas fans, it might be this series because of how many close calls there have been, including last year. Maybe what's your overall take on what it's been like facing them since they've been in the league?
Obviously 2 years ago when we went over there and won, or went down to Dallas. Last year, when I was here before, we lost in overtime. I'm not sure if it wasn't twice. I think it was once for sure, but I'm not sure if it wasn't twice. It's a series where, game's going to be close. Obviously another trophy game, things of that nature. But in all honesty, in these close games, we've come up disappointed more times than not. So we've got to play with the same amount of passion that we had last week, but with smarter, pre-snap penalties, basically both sides of the ball. Because the other penalty is going to happen. You're going to get a hold, and we had one. You're going to get a hold on defense. We had 2. You're coaching, trying to coach that, but the pre-snap penalties, we overcame them offensively. Besides the third or fourth, the short yard down on the goal line, but it doesn't make it right. We've got to get that out of us. We thought we were prepared, thought we'd done a nice job there, but obviously we didn't do a good enough job.
Manuel played more snaps at left tackle than Andrew Chamblee. I was curious just what went into when each guy was in, and do you see that maybe Devin has taken a step up on Chamblee there?
No, I don't see the last part. I don't see that. Obviously, game feel, matchups, things of that nature go into a lot of. I could sit in here and tell you we're going to do this, this, and this, and we might do the opposite. You know what I mean? And I meant what I told you. There's still a major battle there. Devin has not yet put a full week of practice healthy or with the strain that he needs because of his injuries. So until that happens, I don't know that we can do anything differently than what we're doing now, trying to get them both ready to play and things of that nature. If that happens, then we'll have to decide what we're going to do. But basically, at the time that was going, we felt like that'd be our best way to win, and that has nothing negative to do with Andrew. Just that's what we thought.
And then with AJ, it looked like he was favoring his shoulder on his last carry when he ran off. Is he okay?
Yeah, he'll be fine. He's got a little soreness in that shoulder, but I think he'll be fine.
So last one, I guess, any update on Rocket's status for this weekend?
No, I wish I knew. We're going to find out a little bit more today at practice. Obviously, he ran and did some things last week, but it wasn't, stop and starts and things of that nature. So as of right now. Well, he's going to do some things today, as much as he possibly can do, and hopefully it goes well. We need him, and but to say he's going to play or not play right now, and this has nothing to do with A&M or who knows or what. I really don't know right now.
Obviously, you're gonna have a bunch of bumps, bruises, aches, pains, and stuff after a game like that. But you come out pretty healthy overall.
You know, we did, you know, looking at out, that was a really physical football game. And you know, I think we can get Chavis back. Hopefully we can get Rocket back. There was another one there that was out last week. There's 3 of them. Who? No, Tank, I think he'll be ready to go. There's another one. I'll think of it in a minute. But we got to add 3 to the roster that had been out, assuming Rocket can play. And that's hard to do at this time. But I think we came out relatively injury free. We've got some bumps, like you say, but relatively injury free for this Saturday's game.
A couple of weeks them to play as much. It's pretty much Pooh and Thomas at linebacker the whole game, and then you didn't rotate really like Hudson kind of around like you had before. It was more just Walcott and Johnson. With it was kind of muggy down there, and I think LSU kind of did the same thing, not rotating as many guys. You think both defenses just kind of got a little worn out, and you know.
There may be some of that, to be honest with you. I think theirs was more that, you know, on their offense that their quarterback was on, and you know, they've got really good receivers. I don't know that if we would have rotated more. I think Braxton played 25 snaps, but you know, I don't know that if we'd have rotated more that we'd had any more success. Obviously, we didn't believe it at the time, you know, but I think we played, you know, we made plays on offense, you know, just things weren't always smooth, but we made plays and we overcame our own misfortunes. But I think once you get to SEC, you go into the game believing who you're going into. You want to rotate them if they're tired. Otherwise, you know, you want to leave them in there and play unless there's a strong battle between 2 guys.
Sam, I was faced by Katrina last year and facing him again. What do you think about that? And just what do you think about the job he's doing there at A&M?
Well, he's obviously a great coach, and you know, watching him, I think there's a lot of Coach Petrino, a lot of heck, I see a lot of Jim Chaney, you know, in him. Obviously, Coach Fisher is, you know, I think he's got a lot to do with it too. I don't see a whole lot of difference in this year than what they were last year. There are some differences, but they're still a very physical running team. They've adjusted some of their line from last year, but Coach Trino is one of the best offensive minds in the game, and we respect him a lot. And they're doing a really nice job on offense. You know, I think the quarterback threw 5 touchdowns again the first game, you know, Wigman against New Mexico. So they're throwing it well and running it well. They have that same staple of physicality that they've been using in the past.
I guess you don't know an update yet, but Max Johnson came in. Seemed like he played okay, and I know you faced him last year. If Max Johnson is the guy, what are your thoughts about him?
I think he's a really good player, and they've obviously done a nice job with being able to keep him, you know, when, you know, he wasn't named the starter. I think in his mind, it looks to me like he believes he's a starter, and the kids, more importantly, around him believe in him. Obviously got a lot of speed. He's fast, great movement thrower. Definitely, they run a lot of nakeds, you know, trying to move the pocket with him. And he was very, very accurate and really gave the team a spark, I thought, last week watching the game.
You ended up burning all 3 timeouts in the second half. Is that something that you can address in practice this week?
Yeah, I mean, we have to. We've got to get lined up faster. We've got to get set faster. We got to get the call in faster. Yeah, I mean, we have to, because I didn't have any left. We didn't have a chance. It was either let them score or try to knock it out of them there at the end. So to answer your question, yes, we're not going to have music the first part of practice. We're just going to have it during 2-minute today, so we can really coach the urgency of. And we haven't had that problem in the past, so it had to have something to do with noise. We will get that back Tuesday and Wednesday, but today we're just going to try to emphasize the speed of getting our plays in and getting them called and getting them ran.
God Dubinion had over 100 yards of offense Saturday. Are you seeing him make some strides, and just kind of what are your thoughts on him? You think he's got like 10 plus carries last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think the Saturday is whenever I felt like he's in, what we thought he was going to be. I mean, he carried guys, made yards on contact, made guys miss in the open field. Hopefully that's just the beginning of a whole lot of great games for him. I know he obviously had one last year in the Liberty Bowl, but yeah, that's what we see every day at practice, and hopefully we get him in that form each and every week. But I thought he played a heck of a game.
Timeout question. It looked like one time Limmer was trying to get him going quickly, and then KJ looked over and called timeout. How much leeway does KJ have to call timeout, or is that a coach's thing or a player thing?
Well, we tell him if there's no way that he can get the play ran, that he has an opportunity to call timeout. Now, there'll be certain times in the game when we'll tell him he can't. In other words, if we're down to 1 yard, we'll just take the delay or whatever it may be. But if he knows he can't get the play called in time, he has the opportunity to call that time. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know whether he can or not. You know what I mean? I don't know whether he's going to clap or not. And he's the only one that knows the clock and if he can get it all.
Trey mentioned how Pooh and Jaheim Thomas played most of the snaps at linebacker. I think they did that the previous week as well. Are you comfortable with them playing that number of snaps, or would you like maybe a third linebacker to emerge?
Well, I think you'd
rotate?
always like more guys that you believe are ready to win those type of games with. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into a game, way more than is everybody 100% in shape in that play. There has what's my assignment, what happens if the back runs out of the backfield, all those things. And so sometimes you don't put guys on the field if you're not comfortable with them doing their assignment, even though they're probably fresher. So we've got to continue to, and then you ask, how do you get comfortable with the guy? Well, practice would have to be the way where they're doing the things in practice that you need them to do in a game. And I think the more comfortable you come with that's what's going to happen. Then you can take some guys off the field. Obviously, the guys that are starting, you feel real comfortable that they are going to do the right thing. So obviously that doesn't happen all the time, but that's what you're thinking. Most of the guys are playing. They're not only your best players, they're the ones that you might, not smartest isn't the word, but can do their assignment at the most consistency.
Braxton, you mentioned he played about 25 snaps or so, and he also started the previous week. Just how much are you pushing for that second starting spot opposite of Nudie?
Well, I don't know who he's opposite, but he's definitely pushing to be a starter.
Penalties. Obviously, it's impossible to fully simulate a game situation in practice, but in your experience, what's the best way mid-season, midweek to address the penalty situation and make tangible progress there?
Well, obviously what we did last week to address it didn't work. Now, so all I know is that you have to have a ball in every thing you do on the D line, you have to move all the time on the O line, and you have to move with noise. So today we're going to do it without it, just to emphasize speed, getting set, all those type things. And basically, it's a new day. We're having some install, and we've got to talk to them. But I think throughout the week, you just overemphasize movement and move calls and those things, and with try to simulate, like you said, as much as you possibly can. But obviously, what we did last week didn't work, so we're going to try something a little bit different.
Has about understanding that when KJ's under pressure, he's oftentimes not going to go down, and understanding his role in extending the play and staying open for KJ. How have you seen the chemistry between Luke, a freshman, and KJ, who's been here for a while, grow as the season progresses?
Yeah, I think you see it each week. He's playing quite a bit better each week, making more plays each week. The touchdown he caught down their sideline, he just went deep. It was a scramble, and that was his assignment. He went deep, and they lost him on it. And obviously, KJ found him. But I think we're doing a really good job with our wideouts. There was a time KJ had already decided to throw the ball away, but Andrew Armstrong did a nice job in the end zone getting open. But KJ had already, he wasn't open by the time KJ had decided to throw it away, which was a good call on his part. But I think we're doing a really good job with the scramble drill. Luke himself catches the ball incredible, and he can run, so we continue to work on his blocking. But he's a big time weapon, running routes. We're adding stuff for him each week.
Maybe talk about the receiver trio after the game, but I'm just curious, how long has Isaac kind of been working in the slot? Is that something you saw he could do when you were recruiting him?
Well, he's been in there. He just last week is when he started. That's one thing when you move and you're moving to get another guy possibly on the field and things of that nature. The first question is, will he be as good at another position? You don't want to go. You got a guy playing well, move him. Now he's playing okay, but you got another guy on the field. I thought he handled it well Saturday. And of course, when we're in 12 personnel, he's back to where he is all the time anyway. So he's not just a slot, per se. But getting Tyrone, he made some big plays for us and things. So I think it worked out probably. And I think for the future, I think it'll even be better for us.
Can you evaluate the defensive line after these past two games? Because it feels like when the defense is really obviously when the defense is clicking, they're getting in the backfield, both running and passing. And when, other teams are making big plays, that pressure is not much there. What have you seen from that unit so far?
Well, they play hard. At times we can get to them with a 4-man rush, and then other times we can't. But I think that's probably just football as well. We're playing. LSU's got a good offensive line as well. But you're right. When our goal was to frustrate the quarterback, and I thought we did it early, and then after that we didn't so much. But I think our D line is playing well. I think we've got to figure out our third down package a little bit more. We've got a third down package. It's not getting the pressure that we want, so we may look at something a little different there.
5 is the second home game that you guys aren't playing here, obviously, even with the SEC schedule change next year, still going to Arlington. Are you in
third? I think we went to Little Rock.
Are you in favor of this A&M game staying a neutral site game? Do you guys enjoy it, or would you like to see it maybe become a home and home?
Well, if you look, and you've got Little Rock and you've got Dallas, and they're both home games, they're not home. And so obviously I'd like to play in our stadium as much as we possibly can.
On a Jimbo Fisher team, what are its characteristics, would you say?
Physical, big, a lot of speed, I think those three would come well coached, but they're always big. I remember my first year here running by, well, that's a lot, jogging by their receivers. And they looked like tight ends. I mean, they were the biggest dang guys ever. I remember was playing over there in front of their 60,000 people in COVID. 17,000? No, I think it was 60. And they were big. I mean, it's got a big team. They got a great big team. And Jim, coaches developed a heck of a football team.
You spoke about social media and how that can impact teams and all. It looks like you backed away on social media last week. Just any thoughts about, the rationale there and how it can affect you?
Figure out the rationale. When you're a public figure, I think everybody thinks it's okay to bash public figures, people. That'd be musicians, coaches, whatever it may be. And I'll be honest with you, I just got sick of it. And so I decided to. Now, my friend over here has told me I need to bring it back. The only reason I had it in the first place is he's so mad at me, right? That the only reason I had it in the first place is for recruiting. And I'm told it would do well for the university if I bring it back. I do not believe that you can hide behind a phone and address people as personally as what people do. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. And I don't think it's right for the kids. I mean, I'm a counselor last week for my punter, for some old linemen, for this. And that's, to me, that's not what it is for a bunch of people that's hiding to talk about you. And if you want to ask me a question, but everybody knows I'm fat and everybody knows I got a big chest and all that. To do that, who does that make feel better? Who does that make it's not right? And I'm not, people say, well, you make a lot of money. It ain't got nothing to do with people bashing you personally now. And you can talk about my coaching all you want, and this, that, and other, but going attacking me and guys on the team, it's not right. I'll never feel like it's right. And that is with musicians, that is with any, you can't, as a coach, you can't have a political affiliation, you can't have a religious affiliation, you can't do anything. Okay. But you can take it. I got tired of taking it. I closed my Twitter account. So it looks like I'm gonna fire it back up. But that's how I feel about it. And all that's going to do is get some more people bashing me. So go right ahead, because I don't have Twitter.
You may have been watching A&M and Auburn, and I was here getting ready for LSU. But did you see the play where Jimbo was on the
Man, that had to be a terrible feeling. Guys, I like Jimbo Fisher. I do. He's a good man, good coach. I mean, he'd get killed down there by their people. That's just the nature of people. But not all people, just a little bit, a few people. But he was out there, and the guy was running closer to the sideline than he was. He ran inside of him, and you could just see on his face, like, oh, no. And I'm sure I would have, I don't know if I'll get out that far or not, but it had to be a bad feeling for him. And I don't think I didn't see a flag come off of it. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But yeah, that had to be a terrible feeling, him out there. I'm sure all coaches could almost get caught doing the same thing,
We kind of joke about Jimbo talks real fast at
Yeah, he
pressers.
does.
When you're talking to him like at the 50-yard line for kickoff or maybe in meetings,
He's rolling.
does he talk like that all the time?
He's rolling, man.
Yeah.
You better pay attention. That's why he's such a good recruiter. He talks so fast, you'd have to listen to him, but I do. I like the man, and I think I have high respect for him, and they got a good football team just like they do every year, and we'll try to figure it out. again, big comes to my mind. I think they're really good at linebacker. I think they would think, and I do too, that their front four is big, physical, like they seem like they always are. Boy, they get off the football. I'd really like their linebacker core this year. And obviously they've got a tremendous amount of speed in the secondary. They've got really good statistics. So it's going to be a really big challenge, but they're a big physical group that can run. I mean, you see why each guy's playing the position that they're playing.
The BYU game asking about third down conversions or the 13. LSU went 8 for 13. How do you bottle the third down success rate and take it into a game that's historically been pretty close?
Yeah. Well, I think a little bit of it is we're playing, I think each game we play together more with our, it's not just a coordinator, we got new people out there. I think, if you look at it, you got, 3 brand new wide receivers. You had spring ball for most of it. You got a couple of new offensive line, 3 offensive linemen. So it takes a little bit of time, game time, to kind of play together a little bit better. Hopefully, we can continue to do a good job on third down prep and basically do the execution that we did Saturday night. So against whom I think was a really good football team, really good. And so you just kind of, I think everybody's getting used to each other a little bit more. And I think KJ's starting to find his guys that he knows are going to catch the football. And there's a lot of them out there, but it all starts with ability to run the football. And I felt like we did that pretty well Saturday night.
I just wanted to follow up on the Twitter thing, and you mentioned you having to be a counselor during the week for your guys. I mean, there's been some mental health stuff with some pretty notable transfers being, declined. I'm just curious, like how much, not only when a guy has a bad performance, you have to be a counselor, but just overall in the course of the season of program building, are you focusing on that kind of mental health with your players?
Mental health is a big, big deal. We talk about it. We have several guys that are in counseling. We encourage it. Fletcher was at practice on Monday. He's lower and low. And I walked by him. I become that counselor at times. And I walked by him. I said, "Hey, Max, what's wrong with you?" Social media. I said, I ain't gonna tell you everything I said, but I said, "What are they saying, man? Went to Australia to get a 10-yard punter and all this kind of stuff. Why'd you go all that way to get a guy that can't kick and all that?" And I said, "Max, they didn't say I'm fat on there, did they?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "What about my chest? Did they say anything about that?" He started smiling there. He said, "Yes, sir." And I said, "Was I supposed to get fired on Sunday?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, I'm still here. They got 2 out of 3, right? And so, and then I think a big part of him is, he punted once for 53 yards and then he did the fake, and I was really happy for him. But to answer your question, there's we talk about a lot of things, and one of them happens to be mental health, that we need to help these kids. There's a lot more going on in their life right now than possibly when I was a kid, and I think a lot of it has to do with this. There's a lot of good about this, but there's also, if you go the wrong direction with it, it can spoil your day or whatever. So yes, to answer your question.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.